Hi everyone, it's me, Lubna. Today is Monday, September 9th, 2024. This video is dedicated to my beloved, and the topic of this video is going to be about having a beginner's mind in everything that we do. So as I've mentioned in some of my recent videos, I'm currently reading this book, The Road Less Traveled, A New Psychology of Love, Traditional Values, and Spiritual Growth by the psychiatrist Peck, MD. And as I was reading this book this morning, I came across a section in which he talks about something called bracketing. And in that section, he includes a paragraph from a book by a different author, and that author is the theologian Sam Keen, and the name of the book is To a Dancing God. And as I was reading this paragraph, it really brought to my mind the idea of having a beginner's mind in whatever it is that we do. So I wanted to read that paragraph aloud to you now and then talk about it in further depth. Here it goes. The second step requires that I go beyond the idiosyncratic and egocentric perception of immediate experience. Mature awareness is possible only when I have digested and compensated for the biases and prejudices that are the residue of my personal history. Awareness of what presents itself to me involves a double movement of attention, silencing the familiar and welcoming the strange. Each time I approach a strange object, person, or event, I have a tendency to let my present needs, past experience, or expectations for the future determine what I will see. If I am to appreciate the uniqueness of any datum, I must be sufficiently aware of my preconceived ideas and characteristic emotional distortions to bracket them long enough to welcome strangeness and novelty into my perceptual world. This discipline of bracketing, compensating, or silencing requires sophisticated self-knowledge and courageous honesty. Yet without this discipline, each present moment is only the repetition of something already seen or experienced. In order for genuine novelty to emerge, for the unique presence of things, persons, or events to take root in me, I must undergo a decentralization of the ego. So that is the paragraph, and when I read this, it really, to me, encompassed the idea of a beginner's mind. And often, especially as adults, when we are trying to learn something, for example, in a class that we're taking, or we're looking at a work of art, or listening to a piece of music, or having a conversation with a friend, or even a stranger, we go into those things with being affected by our personal history and preconceived notions. And often, especially as we get older, things lose their excitement because we've already been there, done that. And the way in which we can avoid that loss of excitement or that loss of novelty in whatever it is that we experience is by putting our ego aside and going into that thing with a beginner's mind. And by beginner's mind, I mean with the mind of a child who is seeing something or experiencing something for the first time. And as we know, children are basically like empty slates, and the Latin for that is tabula rasa. And because of that, everything is interesting to a child. When a child looks at a plant or a flower or a work of art or listens to music or learns something new for the first time in the classroom, it's also interesting to the child because he or she has never learned that or seen that thing before. And sometimes, because of our ideas, preconceived notions, and personal history, we are blind to the novelty in any given situation. And if we're constantly having this idea, this egotistic idea of having already been there and done that, we can never be open to new things and new experiences. And I'll relate this to a personal example that I'm currently going through, actually. So if you've watched some of my recent videos, you would know that I'm taking 2 courses at a local community college right now. And those include Sociology 101, which is Introductory Sociology, and Principles of Human Nutrition. And especially in the Introductory Sociology class, that is a very basic class. It's like the total introductory class for anybody majoring in sociology. And my classmates are mostly 18-year-olds from fresh out of high school. And I'm the only 28-year-old in the room. And I've had so much education before. I already did 4 years of undergrad, and I have a master's degree in public health, and then I did 3 years of med school. So I could be saying that, oh, I already know everything, and this is too easy for me. I don't have to try hard. I'm not going to learn anything new. I'm just taking this as a prerequisite for my future academic or career endeavors. I could very well be saying that, and in fact, I am guilty of feeling that way when I first started the class a few weeks ago. But I made the conscious decision to put my ego aside and be open to learning new things. And in fact, that is what has been happening. I've been learning so many new things from this class that I never learned before, despite all of the previous education that I've had. I majored in psychology in undergrad and biology also, but I never learned certain concepts in sociology related to sociology in my psychology classes. Like, for example, today in my class we learned about socialization and agents of socialization, and what an in-group is and what an out-group is, and just talking about these concepts, especially with these 18-year-olds who are so different from me and even come from such a different socioeconomic background than I do, really enriched my knowledge. And I just found myself being so interested in what I was learning about, and it really felt like I was learning this stuff for the first time. In fact, some of it I am learning for the first time. And by sharing that example, I wanted to show you the joy of going into things with a beginner's mind, no matter how educated, no matter how well established, no matter how successful you are. You could be an Ivy League trained doctor or lawyer or some successful business person, and you could still learn something new from everyone, every day, wherever you go. You're always able to learn something new. And that is what makes life exciting, when you go into everything that you do and experience with a beginner's mind, putting your ego aside. And that is what he means by bracketing in this book. As I said, he talks about bracketing. Bracketing means putting your ego aside, decentralization of the ego, so that you could make room for new experiences. And being able to learn new things requires humbling yourself and accepting that you don't know everything, and that you haven't already been there and done that with everything in the world. There's always something new to be learned and experienced. So with that, I wanted to encourage you to go into everything that you do and experience with a beginner's mind, and you'll find that life becomes beautiful and exciting, just as it was when you were a child. And with that, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is, wherever you are in the world.